Students, today I'm in charge and we are going to talk about health and poverty. So before we start, let's do a little opinion survey. Okay, does everybody have your IRS? Okay. Question number 1. People in a poor country suffer from ill health. Very easy question. Do you agree with this statement? Okay. Do you agree or disagree with the statement that people in a poor country suffer from ill health? Okay, let's see the result. 82% of you agree that people in poor countries suffer from ill health. In most cases, it is true, but now I want to show you a different case. If you look at this graph, we have all tried this Gapminder, right? And once I try to run statistics, that is the growth of life expectancy by the increase of per capita GDP in 3 countries. 2 rich countries, United States and Japan, and 1 poor country, which is Bangladesh. You can see that from 1960 until 2008, United States and Japan life expectancy grew along with the increase of per capita GDP. But amazingly, in Bangladesh, for 48 years, they had very minimal increase in per capita GDP, but their life expectancy increased by 30 years. So this graph tells us what? If this is your assignment, how will you interpret this result? Do you think that in addition to money, there are other things that you can do to improve your health, right? This could be one thing that we can learn from this chart, that you may not need to have economic growth first before you improve the people's health at large in a whole society. So maybe there are other things we can do. So what we can do today, we are going to tell one very interesting intervention. The second question. What when a poor person gets sick? Number 1, he can't do anything or demand anything. Number 2, government should ensure universal health care despite their ability to pay. Number 3, charity organizations should offer help. Number 4, sell all properties to buy back health. Number 5, borrow money from friends or bank for treatment. Which one comes first when you think about what a poor person will do when he gets sick? Okay, let's see the result. Number 2, government should ensure universal health care despite the ability to pay. Yeah, that is what happens in Taiwan and other countries which offers universal health care or social insurance, right? Okay, very good. The third question talks about your preference. When you are sick, you choose to go to public health facilities. That means a public hospital or public clinic, because number 1, you trust the government services. You think government service is trustworthy, or you think it is cheap, or you think it offers quality care, or it is close to where you live or work, or it ensures privacy. which one is the driving force that makes you choose to go to a public clinic instead of a private one? Okay, so 43% of you think that public services are cheap, and next you think that it offers quality care. Okay, so after that we will see what do you think about the private health facilities. When you are sick, if you do go to a private one, what is your major concern of choosing a private health facilities? Number one, you think private health service is trustworthy, or you think it offers quality care, it is cheap, it is close to where you live and work, it ensures privacy, or you think doctors in a private setting gives you more time. Okay, let's see what you think about private services. For private services, you think that it offers quality care. And then second, number 4, it is close to where it is convenient for you to see. Okay, then the third is you think it is trustworthy. So people think differently about public and private services, right? When it comes to public, you think it is cheaper. And when it comes to private, you think that the quality in the private sector is of higher quality. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, the next question. You think that population health is important for society because, number 1, healthy people contribute to economic growth and productivity. Number 2, health itself is important, which means health is an end, not a means. Number 3, health is a tool that enables us to live a life we value. That means health is a tool, it is a means, it is not an end that we pursue. So, what do you think about health? Wow, we have quite somewhat even distribution. 40% think that it is a tool that enables us to live a life that we value. Okay, number 1 and number 2 got very similar votes. Okay, this is no right or wrong answer. It just shows how you regard health. Okay, these are the questions that you might want to keep in mind throughout the class that we are going to take today. Okay, and this graph, I believe, if you remember, you will see that we have shown it in the first class. Every block indicates the factors that have an influence on health. So what influences health is not just these healthcare services. There are many other things. And today we are going to talk about a very interesting issue that concerns the social and community network and living and working environment to a broader socio-economic conditions. Okay, has anybody heard about microcredit? We have students from the Department of Economics, from Finance, from International Business, right? So any of these students want to try to picture or to tell us what you think this microcredit is about when you see this term, microcredit. Yes, please.
That means that the amount of money you loan from the bank or from the source you loan is rather small, and so I don't know how to say that in English, but that means that the amount of money you loan is rather small, so you don't need to pay pay back that large amount of money when you achieve your goal by the money you loan?
For the first part, yes, it is correct. The amount that you loan is very small. Anyone else wants to try? Okay, please. From the Department of Economics, right? Yes, please.
So, microcredit is an extension of the very small loans that is continuously borrowed to the person that needs it but cannot afford the interest rates. So, it is designed for poor borrowers that spurs entrepreneurship to support them. And that means even poor people with low credit or with low reputation can borrow money from them. And that's overall improving the equality of society.
Mm-hmm. Good, thank you. Yes, you also got 50% correct because it is indeed a service for the poor, but the interest rate is not very low. As we will see later, they charge 15%, which is very, very high. Do you know that in our bank, what is the regular interest rate if you take a house loan or a business loan? Can it go as high as 15%? No? How much percentage can you guess? 10%? I don't think so. About 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, but it is definitely not as high as 15%. But they have a reason to do this. But anyway, microcredit, which is now, you will understand later why I call it a global movement. It addresses both poverty and health at the same time, but at different levels. When you address poverty, sometimes it will also create some positive impact on health. For example, if a person is richer, he will be able to afford more nutritious food for himself and his family. So there will be improvement in health. And when you try to make a person healthier, he or she will be able to work and then to bring some income home. But this relationship is not always true. So we will have a critical view about microcredit. We will talk about its positive side and the negative side today. So microcredit, briefly, it is a specially designed collateral-free small loans for the poor who have no access to loan. Okay, collateral-free. Why? And what is collateral? What is collateral? And why collateral-free? A collateral is some kind of security that you will give to the lender, so that when you fail to repay the loan, the lender will seize that piece of property or the security from you as a compensation for the money that the lender gives you, right? So this collateral means security. For example, if I want to borrow money from a bank, the bank will not just give me money without asking anything as a security or as a guarantee. They will ask me whether I have $1 million in the bank, or they will ask me whether I have any house or land, so that they will be assured that when I fail to pay back the loan, at least they can take some part or all of my properties, right? But about microcredit, they do not ask the borrowers any collateral. So this means there is a risk of not getting the loans back, right? Okay, second thing is small loans. Small loans, say from a few hundred NT dollars to a few thousand NT dollars for a year. That means in a year you will get a loan like 5,000 to 10,000. That is the maximum. That is the maximum you can get. I mean, average on the worldwide standard. And who can borrow the microcredit? It is the poor. who have no access to loan. Like our students said that who have very bad credit or bad relation, right? So the poor usually have no access to loan. Let's look at this lady. For example, this lady has how many children? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. She has 7 children. She is very poor. She never touched money in her life because everything is controlled by her husband or her in-laws. And she has no education, cannot read or write. And she has never worked. And she has never left the village that she lived. So if she comes to you, as you are the banker, and ask for a loan, will you give her? Will you agree to give her money?
Yeah.
Why?
Because she never lived the village she lived, so I doubt she can run. She can run away.
Okay, she may not run away, but she has never worked before, and she has no education. So what will make you believe that you will get the money back? She may spend it on children's food, and then when the money is spent, there is no other source of income. So how are you going to get your money back?
I can ask her husband or in-law.
Yes, you can, but you cannot ask her husband to pay you because she is the borrower, not the husband. Against what are you going to ask her this? I just want to say yes, she does get a microcredit loan. But this kind of business is not acceptable, not adopted by the traditional banks. Because number one, the bank wants to ensure that you get the money back. So the business must sustain so that you will get your money back someday. And you also want the business that she is doing to be very successful and profitable so that you can make a deal from charging her interest, right? Usually a bank loves to give big loans because the larger the loan is, the more the interest, so the more they will get, right? So this kind of collateral free means high risk, and small loans means low profit. And the poor, they will just say, forget about it. We cannot afford this kind of risk. And so these poor people, in the eyes of the conventional bankers, are unbankable. This is their term. So you cannot do any banking with them. But you know, these kind of poor women are the ideal, very ideal clients for the microcredit practitioners. So you see how many people around the world become microcredit borrowers. In the developing world, you can see that there is nearly 200 million microcredit borrowers in the developing world, and with the majority of them in Asia. And this is just the statistics in the developing world. It is not only practiced in the poor countries, it is also practiced in the developed countries, including America, France, England, Japan, Korea. But of course, these are very different contexts. What we are focusing today is on the developing world, on the very, very poor rural people population, especially the women. Microcredit started its first experiment in 1976 in Bangladesh. So until now, you can see how much popularity it has received. It is very widely practiced in the developing countries. So we just said that the bank find these poor people unbankable, right? So who gives them the loan? The people who give them the loan are, at the first place, very kind people. They are given by the so-called NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Okay, the NGOs, not the bank, who run the microcredit programs. NGOs, we have learned a little bit in the class last week. For example, we learned that Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation itself is an NGO. So there are 3 characteristics that make an NGO. For example, we see that non-governmental, that means an NGO, this organization, is not a government, or the people in an NGO are not civil servants. This is number 1. Second characteristic is that they are neither from the private sector. That means they are not companies or corporations that are profit-oriented. So if they do not belong to the public sector, they do not belong to the private sector, they are in the third sector. So NGOs are usually called the third sector. And all the NGOs have a social mission. For example, last week we learned that one project that Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation is doing, do you remember what they wanted to do? They wanted to eradicate a disease, polio, right? So NGO have a social mission to fulfill. So they may want to eradicate a disease. They may want to promote human rights. They may want to preserve the natural resources, and they may want to eradicate poverty, and so on. So these are the characteristics of NGOs. So the organizations, the NGOs that give microcredit to the poor people are called microfinance institutions, not the banks. Okay. So in short, we call them MFIs for microfinance institutions. So today there are 3,589 microfinance institutions in 145 countries. By the way, do you know how many banks are there in the whole world? We know very clearly how many MFIs there are in the world, but can you make a guess how many banks are there in the whole world? Economics student? No? Actually, there's no answer. I tried to find on the internet the total number of banks in the world, but I didn't succeed because there are so many banks in the world. I only know one estimate is that there are about 7,000 banks in the United States. That's the only information that I got. But 3,500 MFIs are also a very big money. So how can the MFIs, the microfinance institutions, do the job that the conventional banks cannot do? Number 1, MFIs are rural-based because the people that they want to work with or they want to help are the rural people. And to run, as I said that they are NGOs, right? They have a social mission. And then as they run their programs in the rural area, they must create a living and sustainable network with the grassroots people. You know, it is very difficult to convince the women in the rural area to borrow money because the women for ages in many conservative societies, they have been oppressed or they have been neglected by the society. So even when you try to tell them that you can take a loan from an MFI and you can do some business for your own, they still hesitate. So an integrated network is a channel for these MFIs to reach out to the women and to convince them to take a loan and start something, to start their own business. But you know, it is the society that created a great oppression on the women. So these MFIs try to tell these women that you can form a society. You can form a group. This group is called Solidarity Group. In this Solidarity Group usually consisted of 5 to 10 women. And these 5 to 10 women can jointly work on something together. And they can also try to support each other. And when taking the loans, when developing their business. So although they live in the same village, without this kind of a group formation, it is very hard for them to try to mutually enhance themselves, to try to encourage each other to grow and at the same time to fight the pressure from the society. And when they do take the loans from the MFIs, sometimes they fail their business, and the business problems may create some conflicts between the group members themselves and the MFIs. So at this time, the MFIs have to have very skilled capacity to resolve the conflicts among them. They will also monitor the everyday activities to try to support these microcredit borrowers, to try to help them out of the problems, whether it is economical or social problems. For example, one day a woman was beaten by her husband. And usually in this kind of situation, if you are alone, you cannot do anything. You will just cry, and maybe you will be beaten again and again, right? But at this time, since she is meeting her solidarity group members, she would build a very intimate relation with the other girls, with the other women. So the other women will go to the family of these beaten women and try to tell their husband not to do it again. And since these 5 women have networked with other solidarity groups, so actually they can form a very powerful they can create a pressure to blame the husband not to do this, because they will say that this is a very unappreciable practice that you do to the women. So when the women also brings money to their home, she also gets more respect, and she also grows her power in the family. So this kind of social impact gradually grew from the practice of borrowing microcredit and doing your own business. So it has a multifaceted impact. Next, we are going to spend 20 minutes to watch a video on microcredit borrowers in Bangladesh. Just to give you an idea where Bangladesh is, it is one of the countries in South Asia. We do not have an embassy of Bangladesh in Taiwan, so you cannot visit the embassy of Bangladesh. And it is on the northeastern part of India, surrounded by India on 3 sides. The video that we are going to watch is called Credit Where Credit's Due. Okay, you can see that microcredit unleashed many changes in the society. I just want to ask you one question after watching this and after what we have heard. Why does microcredit pick women? Of course, not these women that I show you on the screen. Why does microcredit pick rural poor women? Yes?
Because women will use the money better than men.
Thank you very much.
So I read a report saying that the men that got loans from the bankers will actually spend the money not on their family, but on gambling and buying more food and wines. The women will actually spend on helping family.
Thank you. Yeah, very good. Any other questions? Yes?
The women are more tend to unite. The women from the same from the same region tend to be more united. So it's easier to let them organize and have such activity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Any other opinions? Yes. Hold on. Can you say again?
Like giving money to the woman, they cannot only achieve their economic, but also change their society, their status will change.
Yes, very good. Anyone else? Yes?
Because of social inequality and the lack of opportunities given to women in certain countries.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, all that you said are very true. Actually, in the very beginning, microcredit practitioners did not discriminate against men. They gave the loans to both men and women, but they found that men, as Wu Tianyun said, that men did use the money somewhere else instead of using it to generate income. For example, they would use the money to buy cigarettes. They use the money to gamble. On the other hand, when women receive the money, what she thinks most is about her children. So you can see that in the video that those who join microcredit programs, the infant mortality dropped, right? So when the women have the money or when they are capable of earning money, they first take care of their children's food, and then they will send their children to school. So eventually it evolved that they target women as their major audience. Thank you for the comment. So before the break, I will explain what we are going to do in the next 30 minutes. We will have a 10-minute break followed by a 30-minute discussion. Last week, we were all Bill Gates. We have so much money to spend, right? This week, we are the poor people. And we are not poor men. We are all poor women. We want to propose to microcredit, microfinance institutions to borrow money. So we will have every subgroup as a solidarity group in a rural setting. And then the loan size will be 5,000 NT dollars. So everyone, to get this 5,000, you have to propose an income generating plan. You cannot use this 5,000 to make a travel to Thailand or Bali or somewhere. This must be used to income generating activities. I know it is difficult for us to imagine what you can do in a rural setting, but you have to think what you can do. For example, in America, where there are also microcredit programs, one very successful microcredit borrower makes money by telling stories. He said that he is a very good storyteller and he is invited to every birthday parties in his community. So he came up with an idea that why not he record his stories so that people who are interested can listen to the jokes and the stories that he tells. So he took a very small loan and he used this loan to buy a small tape recorder, to buy a recorder and some tapes. So with this tape recorder and some tapes, he actually made a good fortune out of this storytelling. And another lady in France said that he is very good at baking cakes. So he would buy some crockeries with limited money that he borrowed from a microfinance institution, and then he will bake and sell to his neighbors. So this is also a microcredit scheme. So you can just use your imagination because this money is not big. Of course, you can also do like what the Bangladeshi women do. You can raise a cow, you can raise chicken, anything. Okay, so you are given you will be given 5,000 if your business program is good enough. And as I said, that the average interest rate is 15%. So say this week you take the loan. From the next week, in the next 51 weeks, you are going to pay back altogether 5,750. That will be broken. That will be broken into 51 installments. Next, we have 10 people, 9 to 10 people in a subgroup, right? But it is not a group-based loan. It is still an individual-based loan. But you, everyone, the loan is given one after one. Say the first borrower takes the money, and after a few weeks of smooth repayment, the next member will be able to apply for the loan, and it goes on to the third and fourth up to the ninth. So the other members should make sure that the business proposals of their colleagues are feasible, so that they will be able to take the loan. And next, the group leader is the last to borrow. So the group leader also plays a role of monitoring or management or pressure. Okay. And number 6 is MFI's microfinance institutions do not give any suggestion or any training about your investment. So at the end of the discussion, that is at 5:40. That is at 5:40. Each group leader, subgroup leader will report the business profiles of your group to TAs. For example, you have 9 people in a subgroup, right? So you will come up with 9 different businesses. And please give your business profiles of your group to the TAs. And then we will fill up here and see what you want to do. You can do anything because you have no guidance from any authority, and you have no training. You just have to use your innate ability and imagination to think of some small business that you can do. So say number 1 will raise cow, number 2 will run a grocery shop, etc. So have a break, and we will come back at 5:20. And if you like, you can use the rooms from 301 to 305 to discuss. The rooms 301 to 305 are small discussion rooms where you can utilize. Okay, but of course you can choose to make the discussion anywhere you like. Just be sure to come back at 5:20. Okay, see you. Hi, how does it feel to be a poor woman?
Awesome.
Great, good to know. Okay, now our TAs are organizing the business profiles of your creativity. So we will see that in a few minutes. So I would like to ask that in the process of
we're supposed to give these to you, right?
to her Angela.
Oh.
In the process of working with the group members in the solidarity group, so what do you think the possible impact of microcredit on women, children, family, health, economy, society, or other impact that are beyond what we have written here? So I want each subgroup to identify at least 2 aspects of the impact of microcredit. So can we start from this group on my left? Yes. Yukai, Mike. If you can identify more than 2 impact.
First, for part of women, by microcredits, women gains the the independency of economic. They don't by microcredit they can set up their own business, their own small business, so that they won't need to rely on their husband or their in-laws or a bigger family. So in the long run, the average status of women will rise through this progress because after they got economic independency, then the social status of their social status will rise in the progress. That's the first part, and on the family part, the work since the economic source of the family is not only on the husband, but also now the wife can produce has an economic productivity. I have to say that in the old times, because husband is the center of the family, he's the only source of economic in the family. So he naturally became the leader of the whole family. But after the microcredit, the power in the family is more average for both husband and wife.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I would like to remind you that this impact of microcredit may not be totally positive. If you find that you have encountered some problems, that you can also try to bring up. Okay. Next group. Maybe this group.
We think that all these factors they are related because if the women get a microcredit and they will get the money resource, so they can well manage their family and get stable income, so their family will get better, and the children with a better family will get some education, so the education of the whole society will rise up and make the economy get better. And with good economy, the society can give the residents health care, so the public will get healthier, so it will get better.
Okay, thanks. Can you pass to the group behind you?
If there's anything is failed, then everything will be and it won't work.
Excuse me? Can you say again?
And they have to use those money to maybe go to a doctor. They cannot use those money to generate the medical costs.
Yeah.
They can afford the interest rate.
Yeah.
And then maybe this group cannot afford
Yes, thank you. Yes, that is indeed one problem. I mean, when a poor family is usually very vulnerable. So a catastrophe like a serious sickness will totally ruin the economy or the mainstay of this family. So microfinance institutions did think about this problem that would occur to the poor families. So when it happens, for example, if there's a cyclone or there's a flood, they will give a new loan and make adjustment with the previous loan so that this family and the borrower will not just be ruined with one accident. Yes, it is indeed a very serious problem. And about the health issues, yes, this is also considered by the microfinance institutions. So many of them provide health services so that the clients can be healthy. And if they are healthy, they can continue their business and continue to pay back the loans. Okay, next group. Next group behind you. Okay, Chang-Chuan, you want to say something? Can you raise your hand so that the mic can be given to you?
Well, maybe I'm going to talk more about the impacts of microcredit in different states. It has been proven that microcredit is successful in Bangladesh, but I don't know what factor that affect that it's successful in Bangladesh, but it does not work the same way in other countries, other developing countries like Africa and in South America.
Exactly.
So like it has been mentioned, all that microcredit can improve the life of women, children, and families. But I don't think microcredit can improve the economy of one country. Maybe it can help the people, the poor people in this country, but it does not directly affect the economy of the country.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it is one of the one issues in the debate that microcredit, although focus on poverty eradication, is actually not very effective in eradicate the poverty. Thank you. Very good. And so this group. Okay. Before you say, I can say something. Some stories in Bangladesh regarding the practice of microcredit. You know, although we think that it is targeting women, so it must have the maximum benefit on women. But actually, people found that as Bangladesh, like many other countries in the developing world, is still very conservative. So usually what happens is that when women get a loan, the loan is taken by her husband and to be used by her husband. And this is a very common phenomenon in Bangladesh, where women, although we expect them to be independent, to gain higher status in the family, they are just being exploited as a tool to get the money from the microfinance institution. So in the end, women become more oppressed because they get the money for their husband and they have no say in whatever the husband does with the money, but they bear the responsibilities because they are the borrowers. They are liable to the debt. So several research have found that after joining the microcredit programs, the mental health of women deteriorated because this is one of their one of the additional source of pressure or stress. This you can imagine, right? Because you can give the money to women, but it is very difficult to change the social norms of the society overnight. So you still need a lot of time to tackle this problem. Okay, are you ready?
Children and poor people. Because since their family income and their health can be taken care of much better than before. The impact on poor people.
So you are saying that the microcredit has a general impact on children? Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's true. So have the Angela? Do we have it ready? Oh, okay. You know, in other countries, you like the rich country. Why do you think the rich country also wants to give microcredit to their people? For example, there is a microcredit program in Finland. We would imagine, it's hard to imagine that Finland is a welfare state, right? When you are unemployed or when you are sick, the government does take the responsibility to provide you all the support that you need to make a living. So why does a society like Finland still replicate a model from a poor country? They actually do not target on this women, children, family, health, economy. They want to keep the population from migrating to other countries. For example, we know that Finland is located by the sea. So there are many fishing villages. And in the fishing villages where the men are out fishing most of the time and leaving the women very lonely in the house. So the women do not like to stay in the village. They want to go to the city. They don't want to spend their life waiting for their husbands. So in this case, when the women are gone, the men will also be gone, and nobody will do this. Fishing industry. So the microcredit institutions provided the women this microcredit just to encourage them to do something that they would like to do. For example, the Finnish women, they are very good at knitting and sewing. They can make very beautiful sweaters. They can produce some artwork. And they can also have much more interaction with other women in the same community. So they will not find a life that boring and dull. So this microcredit has kept the women in the village so that they do not migrate to the big cities. So it is one unintended consequences of microcredit, which address women but does not address poverty itself. It addresses other social issues. So as Chang-Chuan Chan said that in every country, the context is different. So microcredit can be used in different ways to tackle the problems in every society. Okay, let's see what other researchers have found out. Mostly microcredit has claimed that they alleviate poverty, or they empower women, or they improve health, or there are other positive outcomes. But we can see that on this dimension regarding poverty alleviation, this plus means positive effect, minus means negative effect. So we can see very mixed conclusions in this research in terms of poverty, women's empowerment, and health. So this concept or the application of microcredit until now, despite its very wide application and replication and expansion, it is the effect of microcredit remains unclear and debatable. But of course, context specific is what we should keep in mind whenever you want to implement any program. So one model may be successful in Bangladesh, but it may be feasible in Africa. And do you wonder that after a few successes with microcredit, what will you do after that? Say when you raise chickens from 10 I mean, when you successfully raise 10 chicken and 10 chicken multiplied into 20, into 40, into 80, and then you need a chicken farm that can accommodate 1,000 chicken. So what can you do? If you are a smart banker, or if you are a smart microcredit practitioner, so they have they also try to catch those smart businessmen, because not everybody is suitable to make big businesses, right? Like me, I'm not a very smart businessman, so I cannot do any business. So, but for those who are very good, they are very good. They can graduate from the microcredit scheme to micro enterprise. So, microcredit usually is below 10,000 US dollars. So when your business becomes large enough, then you can, and according to your past performance, you can actually apply for a bigger loan from the same microfinance institutions that you can get a micro enterprise loan. So you can see that this woman has become the owner of a small processing plant, and this is a sawmill that is cutting timber, and then usually it involves the whole family to work together. So there are also many good businessmen that have upgraded themselves from microcredit to micro enterprise. Our chart is not ready. Let me just randomly ask about your proposal. 张嘉丽有来吗？张嘉丽 ，What is your business plan? Please share with us. Yes. Chicken, okay.
A certain amount of chickens and let them in the field to grow because usually the chicken that we eat is those grow up with chemicals and those kind of things. So another kind of chicken meat that is actually from those chickens that go running and eating natural food, grow up more tasty.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so actually you can sell in a more expensive afford getting some profit from those selling.
Yeah, good idea. Do your group members think that it's a profitable plan?
Just because although I'm selling those chicken, I'm still having producing more chickens because while they are living in natural field and so they're making more eggs and more chicken are growing up from there. And if there were too many chickens, then I can also sell the eggs.
Yeah, sure. Great, thank you. So it's interesting to see your ideas about doing the business. Okay, I wonder about this taxi. Can you buy a taxi with 5,000? Who proposed Who proposed this? Yes. Where can you buy taxi with 5,000? Even if you want to buy installment, I don't think this money is enough. Somebody said that he wanted to buy a cow. Even a cow costs more than 5,000.
Actually, my proposal was really such. I suggested transporting people around. Now, if we consider the case of Bangladesh, it would not actually be possible to probably be just like two cows and a cat at the back, just to transport people around, whatever means necessary.
Yeah, but you know, your setting is in a rural area where most of the people are poor. Even when you want to provide this transport, do you think people will afford a taxi ride? And the road conditions in the village are also very poor.
Let's take an example. You get a bus to transport people around, and you just have like many people, many customers on a day, so you can charge lower prices, and I think you can end the problem.
Yeah, okay. I just wonder about the member next to you who proposed handicraft. Who proposed handicraft? Yeah, when you will get the loan when the person ahead of you pays back smoothly for a couple of weeks or months, right? So when he proposed that he would want to buy a taxi or become a taxi driver, how feasible do you think his project is? He might fail, right? And when he fails, you might not get the loan.
If I fail, maybe I will try another way to.
If he fails, if the taxi drivers fail, what will happen to you? You may not get the loan.
It means that I cannot get my loan.
Right.
So I will try another way to deal with the problem.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when somebody fails to repay the loan smoothly, then he or she will create trouble for the next one in line who is waiting for a loan. So this is the function, this is the purpose of having a solidarity group. Because within the solidarity group, everybody wants to take a loan, right? So you will watch very closely how feasible is the proposal that is proposed by your group member. So actually the function or the purpose of the solidarity group is to provide not just peer pressure, but peer support. Okay, this is why that in the beginning a solidarity group is very important, so that you can try to support each other. Or when you see that your group member is about to fail, then everybody will try to help him out, or maybe want to lend him some money to get him out of the trouble, right? So in this case, this group-based practice is very important. This is why you have to form a group first, but the loan is given and repaid individually. I am interested about this microcredit square. Who proposed microcredit square? Can you tell us some more about microcredit square? Or micro square credit? Somebody from 2B. Yeah.
I propose it because of what we learned in the past. So we were supposed to learn the micro credit, right? Yeah. So we derived the meaning of micro credit into more, maybe a nano credit rate or a micro credit rate. So a more variety of people can get advantages from this microcredit.
Do you mean you want to?
So what I do is to extend the meaning of microcredit.
Microcredit.
Oh, so when you get the loan, you are going to give the loan to someone else.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you going to find this someone else?
Yes, because when we get a loan, so you may have to qualify some standards. So maybe other people can do this. So I may lend this money to get to the more poor people than me.
Yeah, this is I never heard of this proposal before, but I think that in a capitalist world, this is possible because under capitalism, you can always make money with money, right?
Yeah, because not all the people in the village can borrow the microcredit from the organization. So.
Well, but in most of the developing countries, there the density of microfinance institutions is already saturated. That means in one village you get more than one providers of microfinance institutions, and these microfinance institutions are like the banks in Taiwan that are trying to allure you to apply for more credit cards. So there are many banks or many microfinance institutions that are competing for the same clients. So although I know that your idea is very creative, you may not win over the very strong microfinance institutions who are very institutionalized.
Yeah, I understand that everyone in the village may borrow from the bank the microcredit, but not everyone wants the money because there is a 15 rate of interest that you have to pay after the period of time. So everyone can borrow it, but not everyone needs to borrow it. So my idea is derived from it.
Okay, good, thank you. And how about this standing line? What does it mean? Somebody from 3B? Standing line can bring you money?
Like when there are big sales at department stores, and if someone is coming to do a big concert, I can stand in line for people. They don't have to stay overnight at the department store.
Oh, okay. That means to provide service to people,
Yes.
right? But yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea in Taiwan. Maybe with this you can make money. You don't even need to get microcredit, right?
I can buy a stool for people to sit on, in line.
Yeah, sure. But you are in a village. You are in a rural area. Maybe there will be no department store or no concert.
It can be a line for water.
Yeah, that's true. That is a very good point because many people in the rural areas have to go for a long way to get water. So maybe you can just get one bucket of water in one morning. Okay, the most interesting thing is to me is the first aid station. That is about health. So who proposed? Oh, okay. Somebody from 4B proposed first aid station. This sounds very meaningful because usually in a very remote area there will be shortage of health supply. But say you have no education, right? And you don't read and write. So how do you run the first aid station?
And I think even without education, we still have
Yeah, good. Yeah, common sense and maybe conventional wisdom, like traditional birth attendants. Actually, many traditional birth attendants in the developing countries have no professional training, but they are actually provide services to the most villagers. Another one that is about health is the first one in 5B, medical kits. Who proposed to trade medical kits? Yes? What's your idea?
Well, basically what we were thinking is because 5,000 NT is low amount of money, so for the first month probably you would need some training for the people that will be providing the health care service. And then of course we can buy some medical kits that include basic medicine like some antibiotics and just the basic stuff for the basic health issues. Nothing, serious or complicated, just basic stuff. But the people that will be selling this and giving the health service should need like a sort of training first. So hopefully with the money they will be able to travel to the city and get some training and able to provide the health service and to know how to use the medical kits.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, providing medical services are the businesses that are done by the microcredit borrowers. But there are a few questions that you might want to think. That is, for example, you say basic treatment. So some basic treatment like prescribing antibiotics. It takes a doctor to give the prescription, right? Without a proper training, you cannot prescribe antibiotics. That is very dangerous, right? And if you have to provide training, you cannot provide you cannot provide a full training within a few weeks, right? So if a borrower takes the money, and what she wants to do is to be able to repay the loan, so that every week she will have some income to pay back the loans, right? So within this short time, how would it be possible for her to receive the training? If the microfinance institutions do not give any other support except giving the 5,000 NT. So how are you going to
Well, probably traveling to the nearest city to get the basic training. And then, like, as we saw the video, just, knowing how to cure a cold or a flu or stuff like that, not too serious. Or probably, with the giving birth stuff and all basic things like that.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, you can do a lot about health, but you don't need to have medical intervention. Medical intervention on one hand is very complicated. Second thing is that it is very expensive. For example, what we saw in the video is that a woman who was selling some health products to the villagers, right? And she made 30% out of the selling price, right? So if you think that she makes a profit or she makes a living by selling those health products or the medicines, do you think that it is possible for her to try to promote the medicine or the products that she is selling so that she can get the maximum profit? Do you think it will happen if your living depends on how much you sell? Do you think that you will actually try to sell as much medicine as you can, despite it may not be that necessary? So how are you going to solve this? And in public health, we are trying to focus on the prevention, not on the treatment, right? If if you have to make money by selling vitamin A, or by selling multivitamin or iron tablets, right? Will you try to encourage people to eat more vegetables? Will you try to tell them to have a healthy lifestyle? Actually, if you have this profit making in mind, you will think less about prevention. Because when you do prevention, you are not going to make money. Only when you do this, only when you provide these medical services, will you make money, and a lot of money. This is the most striking and alarming trend in microcredit. I will give you one example. The two pictures are taken by me in a hospital run by very large microfinance institutions, and the pictures below are the two pictures below are the public clinics and the regional hospitals run by the Bangladeshi government. So the upper pictures are privately owned by microfinance institutions. So the lower ones are run by the government. You can see that this community clinic is closed, right? And this regional hospital has no patient. And they had the ambulance, but the ambulance had no fuel because the government was poor. And inside there was no doctor because the doctors were recruited here. On the other hand, they were receiving money from the government. So the doctors that are supposed to provide free or very cheap services are recruited by these microfinance institution run hospitals. And as we asked you in the beginning, that most of you think that when you choose to go to a public health facilities, you go there because it is cheap, right? And you think that if you go to a private health facilities, you think that it has qualities. Maybe it is true that in these MFI-run hospitals, they have good doctors to treat you because they pay doctors a lot of money, a lot more than the government pays. So the doctors are allured and come to work here. But you know, the MFI hospitals do not give very cheap services. They give discounted services to their borrowers, but this created a differential treatment to the people because those who are not microcredit borrowers, they are not the members of these microfinance institutions. They have to pay a higher fee and much more expensive. But what other choices do people have? They have no choice because the public hospitals and clinics are already emptied. There's no more service. All the service you can only find in the microcredit section. So what you do is you have to pay a lot more to these microfinance run hospitals, and you cannot receive these free and low-cost services in the government. And when you go to these microfinance supported hospitals, they will make you buy and use a lot of medicalized services that you may not need. I interviewed one microcredit borrower who was invited by the United Nations as the 2005 best micro entrepreneurs in the whole world. She was from Bangladesh, a very poor country. You know what business she did? She ran a clinic. Okay, in that village where she lives, there is no other health providers. So at first sight, you may think that yes, it is good. Having something is better than having nothing, right? At least somebody is providing health service. But you should think that she has a business mind. Why she becomes a most successful micro entrepreneur is because she makes a lot of money by having the clinic perform cesarean section on the pregnant women. When the pregnant women can do natural birth, they are talked into using her so-called more quality service, and they have to pay much more, and they also face much higher risks of this medicalized birthing. So these are the things that when we look at microcredit, we have seen many of its positive impact. We also want to see what the microcredit has done in the health sector, and whether it is good or not, whether we want the government to ensure whether our right, that government should ensure our health right is protected rather than eroded by the spirit of microcredit. So this is the take-home message I want you to have for today. Thank you.
So let me ask you, you raise your hand. Anyone has ever produced or manufactured anything until now? No? Right? So I saw a list of the things you think that microfinancing can do, but until now, your experience, you haven't produced anything, right? Even you didn't raise hands, right?
No.
And the next question is, have you ever sold anything? Raise your hand. Sold what? What is
Second-hand book.
second-hand books? Okay. What? Yeah, just what kind of services? Video. What else? So service. Some second books. Okay, this kind of what kind of things you import and export? Just give us a name of the products you. Yeah, can you use phone?
I can tell that some of the video games are important.
Video games.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else? It's very limited. How come you come up the list of this? Where are they from? From your imaginations, or it's not from your experience? So for anything can work, you have to have market, right? You always have a market, so you have to imagine what the market is, and basically it will be product or services. And what kind of products can be successful, or what kind of service can be successful?
Depends on the market. Always successful.
Yeah, it's better to fit needs, human needs, right? If I don't need, I don't want to buy this service, I don't want to buy this product. Or, if it's not need, it should be what? Demand, right? Do you really need a smartphone? Not necessary. Right? It's a kind of demand. Demand can be created. But why the market works? The market works because there is a trade. Someone wants to sell. The other one will buy. And the more people buy, then you have to sell more. And more times you're selling, the market is flowing. So the number of transactions per unit of time is very important, because it's about the cash flow. Okay? So when you have cash flow, that means there's $100 change hands allowed. Everybody hold up a period of time of the cash. They will feel, own something, so they can buy something. So the microfinance is trying to create a cash flow that was not existing there. Their transaction is very slow. Use raw material to exchange another raw material. So for the product, we talk about what? The market. Have you heard about fair trade? Right? So fair trade try to take raw materials from a poor community, try to put into a bigger market. The market is a global market. Some rich people in London, in New York, in Taipei can buy coffee that is under fair trade, which means the labor cost was really reflected and the environment was protected. So still there's a market there. If this market is not working, this cannot work. So it's too bad that the university is not teaching you how to trade. They only teach you, we only teach you how to get good grade. But in order to solve the problem of developing countries, probably we need to know how to trade. Otherwise, very difficult to revitalize that society. So probably from Mahisha's talk today, we will not, hopefully you will learn how little we know about the market. You know, we don't know what kind of products could be fit their human needs or society's demand. And probably this is most important things you have to learn. Besides the professional knowledge, intellectual knowledge, you know. You could be a very good biologist, but if you don't know what your biological knowledge can be used for human needs, probably is not going to help people a lot. So it struck me to see all of these. I think you have to take home this. And in the futures, you know, could be some kind of a checklist not to do. Probably. Yeah. Okay. So this is May now. In 2 months, you're going to be summer vacations. Try to be somewhere to become a sailors or to become a buyer. That to engage yourself in the market, and you will learn how valuable your service is, how valuable the things you're selling is. If you don't know the market value of that, you know, you are not living a real world. You are living in a tower. That's not good. And that's not going to solve the problem of poor people. Yeah, on my way to here, I just heard there's a tour company in Taiwan want to have 4 million NT dollar to have one person to travel around the world for 80 days. There's market there. 17 seconds, the spot was filled. When he put on the web, if you want to do this, so the market, 4 million. It costs 4 million to travel, and people like it. So you have to know that kind of market and this kind of market. What can you do? Okay. So next week we will have Dr. Zhang coming for health insurance. It's a kind of medical care market we create in Taiwan. So it's so-called controlled market. Then you'll see what the value of that. Okay, this is my comments for today.